Hello everyone. Uh, my name's Tom, or my moniker on the YouTube is Pens and Calls from my website. You might hear some buzzing and clicking in the background. That's my kiln just starting up. And that brought to mind a video I thought I might want to do to help out some of the beginning potters out there who wonder when it's time to bisque fire their pots. Are they dry enough to fire without you worrying about them exploding in the kiln? The more experienced potters can tell just by feel whether a pot is dry enough or not. As a pot dries, the water evaporates out of the pot, and this process of evaporation takes heat out of the pot, and when it takes heat out of the pot, of course the pot gets cool. So if a pot is cool to the touch, the theory is that it's still wet and water is evaporating out of it. But when you're sitting in a studio that's 70 degrees Fahrenheit and your hands are maybe 90 degrees, even a bone dry pot feels cool to my touch anyway. But I guess with experience you can tell that 20-degree difference versus something that's really wet. For instance, this is one of a pot I just made after watching Simon Leach's video on pinched lugged bowl. Now that one is very cool to my touch, so I pretty well know that one is still wet. Versus this one. This is a pot I made, a lidded pot, and I squirted some colored slip on it, and I'll eventually put some clear over that. Anyway, this one, it still, to me, feels cool to the touch, but not as cool as the other pot I showed you. And so, how do we tell whether a pot's dry enough or not? What I do is I bought a inexpensive kitchen scale that reads in grams as well as ounces. I find that reading it in grams and just getting a number is a lot more accurate than looking at quarter ounces or eighth ounces. So I set it for grams, and then I'll put my pot on top of it, and I'll write down on a little slip of paper what the reading is, and I'll put this little piece of paper in the pot, and the next day I'll come back and put it on the scale again, read what it is, and write the new weight on there. And I'll keep doing that every day or every 2 days until the reading that I get is the same or within a gram or two of what it was the last time I weighed it. Then I know for sure that the pot is dry enough. There's no more water coming out, so the weight is stable. That's the way I do it. That way I'm sure when I put something in that kiln over there, it's not going to blow up on me from being wet yet. Simple tip. Maybe it's an easy way for us to learn how, by feel, whether something is dry enough or not. I hope that helps. Another tip that I have is, how thick is your bottom? Yeah, I know when we're throwing, we go in there with a needle tool and measure down and can measure the thickness of the bottom. But when it comes time to turn it the next day or 2 days from now, if you had it in a wet, a damp booth, can you remember how thick the bottom is as far as whether you wanted a flat bottom or wanted to turn a footed bottom on it? So here's, to me, a simple way of telling how thick the bottom is. What I'll do is I'll take a pot like this and I'll lay a dowel across it or a flat piece of stick, a ruler, something like that, and then I'll take one of my trimming tools. This one, particular one, has a flat bottom on it, and I'll just drop it in to the center of the pot like that, and then I'll bring my finger down until it touches the dowel. So that's just touching the bottom, and my fingertip is touching the dowel. Let's move it over this way. It's touching the dowel. Then I'll bring it outside and come down, and now I can look at the bottom of the tool versus the work surface, and I know that's how deep my bottom of my pot is, or how thick the bottom of my pot is. In fact, it's about a finger thick, so I can safely put a footed bottom on that without cutting through the bottom of the pot. Make any sense? It's worth a try. That's how thick it is. Put this on there, drop it in, put my finger on there, bring it outside. That, you can see, is not a lot of distance, or maybe you can't see it. I don't know if this is going to show very much or not, but you can see this one is much less than a fingertip thick. Just a tip, an easy way to tell. My memory is not the greatest, so 2 days from now I won't remember how thick these are, and that's a quick way to figure out whether I can put a footed bottom or a regular bottom on it. I hope that helps.